afternoon, everybody. I'm Officer McGovern from the Woodbridge Police Department. Today we're going to be talking about preventing senior scams. One of the most alarming statistics, seniors age 65 and older account for about 13% of the population in the United States, yet estimates comprise that 30% of the fraud victims in our country are seniors. And on top of that, a lot of the senior people that get scammed are too embarrassed to report it. So the numbers are probably a lot higher. Today we're going to talk about recognizing senior scams, protecting yourself from fraud, steps to take if you become a victim, and resources and referrals. Why are seniors targeted? Seniors can be more vulnerable. Some seniors are very trusting. Older people often believe the pitches they hear. Seniors have trouble spotting fraud. Older victims find it difficult to end unwanted telemarketing calls. And seniors are often reluctant to seek advice about financial matters. When you get these telemarketing calls, don't hesitate to just say no thank you and hang up. Generalizations about seniors. Some of these criminals believe that seniors have a lot of assets. They're open to claims of quick profits to bolster their retirement savings. They have trouble remembering things. They can be isolated socially and desire company, just looking for somebody to talk to. Seniors have strong values about politeness and dealing with others. Sometimes they're too nice to hang up on the person. And like I said before, they avoid reporting that they've been scammed to the police. The sucker list. If you respond to these sweepstakes that you get in the mail that says, fill this form out, turn it back in for a chance to win $1 million, you're going to get put on these sucker lists. And the sucker list gets sold to the criminals. They contain the names of people who have been on or good candidates to be victims of fraud. People on the list may hear from crooks who claim they can help recover for a fee, money lost to a con artist. Is everybody here on the internet these days? Yeah. Phishing is an internet claim. Term used for emails. They claim to be from your bank, a reputable business or government agency. Criminals ask for personal information such as social security numbers, account numbers. They try to steal your funds or steal your identity even. And back to the phone calls. Sometimes these scam artists, they'll try to trick you with this social security number. Even when you're doing legitimate business, some places ask for the last 4 numbers of your social security number. So the criminals might say, can I have the last 4 numbers of your social security number? And you give it to them. And they say, oh, I made a mistake. I'm sorry, I need the first 5. Then they have your whole number. So try not to give out any numbers. Nigerian letters or emails that ask recipients to provide their bank account number to help them share in a big pot of money. Some people fall for these things. I don't know why. If you respond to these letters, you will be a victim. You can be told that you've won a sweepstakes in a Canadian lottery. You're asked to pay for the processing or delivery fee, provide a bank number or account number to verify your identity, and obviously no one ever receives a penny. Travel scams. Seniors can be targets of travel scams too. I know a lot of seniors like to travel. With the travel agents, I mean, most people are using the same person for years and years and years. Stick with a reputable agency that you know. Get the offer in writing. Check to make sure the company is legitimate. There's a lot of places you could check, the Better Business Bureau. And when you do travel, put everything on the credit card, because your credit cards should insure you. You can check credit card by credit card to find out exactly what you're insured for. There's a lot of charities. I was talking to somebody else before about the PBAs. Woodbridge Township PBA, we never solicit money over the phone. Everybody gets their letter in the mail. Some of these other county and State agencies will hire a company to solicit funds for the PBAs on the phone, and the PBA only ends up getting a small percentage of that, so I would stay away from that. The sound-alike names can be tricky. All nonprofit groups have to file the IRS Form 990. You can check that online. And before you donate, just make sure the charity is a legitimate charity. There are some good ones. The telemarketing, they are allowed to telemarket. They just have to abide by some rules. And the rules are no sales calls between 9 and 8 a.m. They must tell you the company they are calling from and what they are selling. No purchase needed to enter or win promotions, prizes, or contests. They cannot ask for advance payment. They can't use abusive language. And the goods cannot be misrepresented or exaggerated. Telemarketers cannot withdraw payment from your checking account without your written or recorded oral permission. The work-at-home scams, you might have seen these things coming around now. You can make $500 a week working from home. All you need is a computer, and they'll look for money up front to purchase all these items that you're going to need to start your own business. A lot of that is scams. They might ask you for your credit card number, bank account, social security number. Obviously, we're not giving any of that. Most of this stuff is common sense. Just don't give out your personal information. Credit card fraud is huge, especially with the internet. You might have a person that lives in New Jersey, their credit card gets stolen. Somebody goes on the internet and orders something from California. So there's all kinds of jurisdictional issues with the credit card fraud. Keep an eye on your credit cards at all times. The one thing we do have to worry about is the unscrupulous employees that might steal your information. I mean, we always take a risk with that. And your credit card statements should be shredded, especially the ones with the account numbers. I know my American Express doesn't even have the account number on it anymore. I had an incident where a woman was having dinner in TGI Fridays over here in Island. While she was having dinner, her cell phone rings, and it's a credit card company telling her that her credit card is being used at the Menlo Park Mall. She goes into her pocketbook, opens it up, and the credit card's gone. The person that was sitting at the table next to her reached into her bag, took her credit card, went right to the Menlo Park Mall, and started using it. She wasn't even finished with dinner yet. But the credit card company.
Theater, someone took my pocket. They couldn't hear it. Two couple, and then they slid it back. I heard something slide, and I'm watching a theater. And when I got home, there was a call, and I said, but I had it in my pocketbook. I went in there. They took just the little wallet with all my credentials.
I gotta go put my cake in the fridge.
Went back to the movie theater, and
Yeah, they really don't want you to know that it's missing until it's too late.
Right, and
That's
they
the
had
whole idea.
But they didn't go to it was in Menlo Theater, but they went somewhere else and used
Dumpster diving.
movie theaters. Yeah, I imagine.
You may see these people out on garbage night, picking through the garbage. They're looking for credit card statements, things with your name on it, account numbers. So like we said before, if you don't have a shredder, invest in a shredder. And anything with your name on it or account number, you can shred it. You want to come in?
Yeah, I'm gonna get a chair. Oh, okay, there's another lady there. Okay,
There's one there and one there.
all right, okay, good. Sorry.
Seniors can be targeted with real estate fraud. Not that anybody's going anywhere, but before purchasing any property out of state, make sure the real estate broker that you're using is certified. You could probably use somebody that you know from around here to give you a referral to another state. And before you purchase any land, contact the State Department of Real Estate where the land is located. Contractor fraud. We do have some issues here in town with the contractor fraud. All the contractors that work in our town have to be registered with the township now. The traveling contractors are rarely licensed or insured. They often want a large cash payment up front. Common repairs are the driveway paving or the ceiling, the chimney repair, the gypsies, we call them. They're very, very common in this area. We do have some that live in town here. What they will do is, they tell you they want to seal your driveway. They'll tell you they need a couple $100 up front to go buy the supplies. Sometimes people will give them the money, unbelievably. And often they don't even come back. They may start the job and say they need more money to go buy more supplies, and the next thing you know, they're long gone. And it may cost more now to repair the damage they did. When you need a contractor for a home improvement job, get at least 3 estimates from reputable local contractors, and word of mouth is usually the best. And most of these people, or all of these people, have to be certified or registered in our township. You can check the Division of Consumer Affairs to see if a contractor is licensed through the state of New Jersey. Another problem we have is the water company, electric company, gas company. Sometimes these criminals will try to pretend that that's who they're working for. I mean, in our town, we have Middlesex Water, PSE&G, and Elizabethtown Gas. Most of those guys are in uniform. They all have their IDs. They never, unless there's some kind of emergency going on, where a car crashed into a house or something like that, they're not just going to knock on your door and say they have to see something in your house. They do everything by appointment. I had an incident recently where a young lady was pushing her baby carriage through the streets of Colonia here, and she notices a young male, early 20s, and he's going in between houses on a residential street. And she didn't like the way it looked, so she called the police. I was pretty close. By the time I got there, the gentleman was gone. Couldn't find him. And I spoke to the caller, and she tells me, hey, he was behind this house, he was on the side of this house, he was looking at this house. So she thought he was up to no good. I checked every house on the block. I couldn't find a broken window. I couldn't find anything disturbed. So I say, thank you for calling. I send her on her way, and now I start checking the neighborhood. And I see Vinny the mailman. Does anybody know Vinny? Vinny's the mailman on the north end of Colonia here. I tell Vinny what happened. I said, we got a call about this guy checking houses. I described the guy to Vinny, and Vinny says, that's the PSE&G guy. I was talking to him before. He was a new employee, didn't have his uniform yet. He was doing the relief route. Vinny said he had his proper ID around his neck. He had his little computer. The PSE&G guys hold a computer in their hands. And he told me where he was. He was a couple blocks away. I went and talked to him, and the guy was legitimate. So the point is these guys have no problem with the police asking them to see their credentials. So if you see something that doesn't look right, call it in. We can't have a police officer on every street in the town. It's impossible. So the public is our eyes and ears. You see it, you call it in, and then we'll check them out. And seniors tend to be the best neighbors because they're home a lot.
No, it makes me laugh that we seen a guy park across the school, and he was sitting there, and my neighbor just went over and talked to him. I said, no, don't do that, you better call someone. And it was when the cops came down, he was on the car.
Sometimes we will get the private detectives who are checking on a person for insurance fraud, and they'll be parked on a street. Most of them will call police headquarters and tell us they're going to be somewhere for the day. Sometimes they don't. Never allow anybody into your home. The only time, like I said, these companies will try to get into your home is if we have a big emergency going on, and usually you'll have a firefighter or a police officer assisting them. And you can call the utility company, or you could just call police headquarters. We'll come out and check the person out for you. Home equity loan fraud. I don't know if anybody's interested in home equity loans at this point, but they often work with unscrupulous lenders. Sometimes these people go door to door, offer easy financing for home improvements and home repairs that may not be needed at all. Often their work is incomplete with poor quality. The loans they arrange are secured by your home and often carry a very high interest rate and other costs. So try to stay away from that. The refinancing scams. Now with the interest rates the way they are, you might be getting phone calls about refinancing. I get letters in the mail every day about refinancing my home. Deed forgeries, seniors have to be aware of this. Scam artists forge the homeowner's signature on the transfer of deeds. Illegally acquire ownership of the property. And not to scare anybody, but you gotta watch your own family members too with these kind of things. Never sign blank contracts or other documents. Even with the contractors too, they might ask you to sign a blank document and then they'll go and fill it out later and jack up the prices on you. So never sign anything that's not completely filled out. Fly-by-night lenders or the phony lenders. Same thing, they might try to get your signature on loan documents without you even knowing about it, and then disappear with your loan money, and loans will be resold to another lender, and then the lender is going to be looking to foreclose on your home. Investment fraud. Sometimes seniors are targeted for investment fraud because these crooks think that seniors have that big nest egg. And everyone would like to see his or her money grow faster. Crooks try to convince people to buy phony investments with promises of unusually high returns. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Do your homework. If you are doing any investing, invest with a reputable broker. If you're targeted with questionable investments, you can notify the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission and, naturally, call the Woodbridge Police. We can do a report for you. Pyramid schemes. I mean, everybody heard about this Bernie Madoff thing. It was all over the news the past couple of years. The promoters recruit investors to use them to recruit more investors. Investors are promised a fabulous return as high as 20% a year. Some investors might receive money eventually, and then the organizers run off with everything. Pyramid schemes are often called investment clubs or gifting circles and can involve the sale of products or distributorships. Once again, the seniors might be targeted because they have a lot of money sometimes. ID theft, we talked about that before with the credit card fraud. Anything with your name, date of birth, social security number, address, shred it. Fake cashier's checks. Crooks scan the want ads looking for victims. They answer the ads, offer to pay by cashier's check for more than the sales price. Then they ask you to wire the remainder of the money back to them or give them extra money and the merchandise to a shipper. Check turns out to be fake and you lose your merchandise and the money. Family member in distress. This is very common on the internet now. I've gotten some emails, you may have too, where a person might say they're out of the country somewhere, they've been arrested, they need bail money wired to them, and unbelievably, some people are falling for this and sending money overseas. This is 99.9% of the time untrue. We talked about credit cards before. You can call your credit card company. Most of your purchases, or all of your purchases on a credit card should be insured, and the general fee is usually about $50 is what you're responsible for. But you could check with each individual credit card. It might be different card to card. Caretaker crimes. I spoke about watching your friends and your family members too. Be alert for the caregivers. They try to isolate you from your family and friends. They ask about your will and your money. They're probably up to no good. Nobody needs to know about your money, how much money you have in the bank. If they ask to give you a power of attorney, always refuse. And they try to dominate you or influence you. Tell your family members if somebody's trying to do this to you, or call us. Protect your property and assets. Financial exploitation is often committed by a person that is trusted by the victim. Keep all important financial documents under lock and key in your home, and CDs or anything like that should be in that safe deposit box if you have one. Medicare fraud. It's illegal for companies offering Medicare drug plans to charge you a fee or to offer you cash or free food to get you to enroll in a plan. If you are interested in the benefits available to you as a Medicare beneficiary, visit the federal government's Medicare website. Signs of health fraud include promoters of cures, testimonials from people that supposedly have been cured, secret formulas, the use of infomercials, programs that look like news but are just lengthy ads paid for by another promoter. Living trust can be a legitimate estate planning tool. Typically, consumers with low income and small estates do not need them. Consider a living trust only if your estate's value is higher than the state's minimum limit for probate, and I don't know what that is. Is it 600,000?
I think it went up, it was 600,000, but I think it went up.
655? Okay.
75.
It's probably somewhere in that area. Anything less than that is considered a small estate. Funerals and burial scams. It can make sense to plan your funeral. Do your homework. Use a reputable company. And you can include the funds to pay for your funeral. I know my father and my uncle, my grandmother, she got into her 90s and they did one of those prepaid funerals for her. And it worked out very well. I guess that goes case by case. Warning signs of fraud. Be suspicious if you hear you won a prize or a gift, you've been selected to receive a special offer, you must act immediately, you must pay for shipping up front. Credit card numbers, once again, don't give out your credit card number for anything. Personal information we talked about. Don't donate to any charities that you're not sure of. Protect your assets. Never reveal your financial information to someone who calls you on the phone. Never allow strangers to come into your home. Never believe that a stranger will use your money for a good purpose. Never assign power of attorney to people you don't know very well. And never sign contracts that have any blank lines in them. If you become a victim, don't hesitate to call the police. I mentioned before, sometimes seniors that do get scammed are embarrassed. They don't want their family to know about it. They don't want to call the police. If you don't call us and we don't have at least a chance to go after these people, then they're just going to do it to somebody else. Contact your local law enforcement, which is us, and we will contact the county prosecutor's office if we have to, and the Middlesex County Division of Consumer Affairs. Any questions? Like I said before, past experience with me, seniors are the best neighbors because they're always around. They know what's going on in the neighborhood. We can't have a police officer on every street in town. Do not hesitate to call. Like the PSE&G guy I was talking about before, he was legitimate. Somebody called it in. We checked him out. No big deal. He was happy to show us his information. If they're good guys, they have no problem showing us their ID. If they're bad guys, it's another story. About 2 weeks ago, I was off. It was a rainy day like today. My son has baseball practice at 4 o'clock, so I said, I'm going to go see if the field is in good condition. I'm driving towards Kennedy Park in Island, and it was recycler day, so the light blue bins were out, and I turn onto Charles Street, and I notice a pickup truck backing up down the street. And there's like 3 or 4 cars in front of me. Just caught my eye, why is this pickup truck backing down the street? And he backs and he pulls to the side, and now the 3 cars in front of me go around him, and now I go around him. And as I'm going around him, the 2 guys are getting out of the car, and they have gloves on. It's a pickup truck, and they're trying to make it look like they're looking for junk, scrap metal. And we had the bulk pickup was a couple of weeks before, so it just caught my eye. Naturally, nobody in front of me noticed anything. It just didn't look right to me. So I drove around the block. Now I come around the block, and the two guys are in somebody's backyard. And I look in the truck, and the truck is loaded with ladders and air conditioners and all kinds of scrap metal. So I get on the phone, I call police headquarters, and I'm parked down the street. They didn't notice me. I didn't want them to notice me. But now they start driving, so now I'm following them. I had to use the cell phone, so I'm calling headquarters on the cell phone. Radio cars in the area, they stopped the car. I thought they were gypsies. Turned out to be a couple of drug addicts. They were trying to make it look like they were scrappers, but it caught my eye because it was recyclable day. There's nobody has garbage out on recyclable day. They were going into backyards. One guy would knock on the front door, see if anybody was home. They would go in the backyard, take whatever they could find. There was a brand new ladder in the back of the truck. We split the guys up. They told us what they were doing. Most of the property got returned to the people. And they were just a couple of drug addicts looking for drug money. They weren't gypsies. But the point is, if I didn't call that in, they would have just kept going all day. Somebody has to call it in. Any questions? Don't hesitate to call us.
I'd like to elaborate a little bit on contractors' fraud. It says that contractors should be licensed and/or insured. In some cases, some of these contractors are using their home insurance. So as a person, a homeowner that's looking for repairs, and the contractor presents you with an insurance policy number, I think it would be wiser to ask him for a copy of his insurance to make sure you're protected. Of course, ultimately, whatever happens on that property, you're responsible for it.
And if he is insured, he shouldn't have any problem giving you a copy of it.
Right.
And letting you call the company to make sure.
Right. So I would ask for a copy of the policy rather than a policy number.
That's a great idea.
You have no way of knowing whether that's a home insurance policy or maybe just a fictitious number.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, I got that from my,
Copy of the insurance policy? That's good.
Doesn't your homeowner's policy covers anybody that works on your house? So that you line up
Well, the contractor should be covered, like we were talking about. They all have to have insurance.
But the person who owns the house also has homeowner's insurance.
Sure, but you shouldn't have to go through yours. You should go through theirs.
but I don't want to go through mine.
Thank you for coming out today. I hope we gave you some good information.
Thank you.
Don't hesitate to call the police.